All right, what is up, YouTube? This is the GOATcast podcast for March 4th. We're in the great month of March, and March Madness is upon us. And March Madness has been playing out in the media as far as the media versus NBA. We've had a whole lot of talking points from both sides, and we'll get into that here soon. That's going to be our main topic. But first off, we want to talk about our man Kyrie Irving. Went down last night. He's got a torn ACL, so he's shut down for the rest of the season. Um, I'm gonna let you say, is this indicative of Dallas's season right there? Just that crazy um, season-ending injury to Kyrie and him being pretty much their best player right now in a hospital beds with all the rest of them. So, what you think?
Yeah, I think it's very telling of the Mavs season this year. I mean, even before the Luca trade, Luca was dealing with injuries, so they had to go through. I know PJ Washington has been in and out of the lineup. Um, so after the trade deadline, business as usual. AD goes down first game. Kyrie goes down. I mean, they're playing him almost 39 minutes a night this
Mm.
past month. So I mean, you're pushing your one big gun and you pushed him too hard and he's done for the season. It's unfortunate, of course, but hopefully this will allow them some time to rest, recover, and run it back next season.
Uh,
And we'll see where the chips fall.
Excuse my hospitality. I didn't even ask how things are going with you, Big Nige. I just got straight to it. But what's going on with you over there in your neck of the woods?
Just maintaining. It's been a little rough this week, but I'm here and I'm ready for the show. But yeah, just taking it one day at a time.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the weather or what. It's just the energy for me has been low this week, and I'm just trying to find that energy from somewhere. So hopefully I can find it here tonight. But back as the baldest one on here, so had to shed the little bit of hair I have. But with that said, because of copyrights, I can't play it. I had downloaded a lot of these clips of, from Stephen A, Mike Wilbon, from LeBron to Channing Frye. A lot of talk this from Friday, and even before that, Thursday, I think, is when, or sometime last week was when Channing Frye said what he said. But before we get into that, we hear a lot of people talking about inside the NBA. The team that Stephen A and his crew that's before ESPN games. The media is just not positive for the current NBA. And is this playing a role in the ratings? Because we all know that this season the ratings have been down pretty much for across the board. We've had a little bit of uptick with the Luca trade and everybody getting back in there with the Lakers. But for the most part, the ratings have been down. And I will say there's been some negative talk, but do you believe before I go, do you believe that the media is the reason why ratings are down right now?
It's hard to put the definitive blame on the media for why the ratings are down. Sure, the negativity, to a casual fan, right? If you're hearing people you respect, like a Shaq, like a Charles Barkley, or media people like a Stephen A, who are just kind of constantly downplaying, a team like the Washington Wizards, right? Like there are people who enjoy watching them. Like these are like ride or die fans. And you hear these guys trashing your team, and it's like, how are you going to convince someone else to watch the Wizards, the Hornets, these really bad teams? And then on the flip side, you have these contenders, but then it's like, are they really contenders? Because no one talks about them. Nobody's giving Cleveland a real chance to win it all this year. Nobody's giving the Rockets a chance, the Grizzlies. These are like top teams in their respective conferences, and nobody's giving them a chance. They're only talking about the Lakers. They're only talking about a little bit of OKC, and they're the best team in basketball. You're not really talking about them in that same breath. It's the Luca and the Lakers. It's the Mavericks. you're only covering the big teams, the Knicks, of course. So it's like, is media the problem why the ratings are down? No, I mean, you have to look at a whole different avenue. You got to look at load management and how that's taken a ravenous hold on the NBA the last 20 years or so. Then of course the accessibility issues. I don't know how many times, I know for me personally, trying to watch games on League Pass and my screen goes black. You know, you have to go outside of the NBA to watch their product. You know, that's a problem. That's another reason why the ratings are down. Um, and of course you got, like, and I'm not gonna like be biased, but the lack of American born superstars. The average everyday NBA fan, more than likely is American. They can't gravitate to a Giannis, to a Luka, to a Jokic the same way they gravitated to an MJ, a Kobe, a LeBron. These are like homegrown people. When you gravitate to LeBron early on, kid from Akron, Ohio. There's a lot of people from Akron, Ohio who resonated with LeBron. There's not that many, Serbian or Slovenian people,
Slovenia, yeah.
like that are riding for the NBA like that. Like they'll check on their players, but like again, it's hard to have those guys be your face when it doesn't appeal to your main audience, which is the people in the state. So you got all those things culminating together. I think those are the more bigger reasons why the ratings are going down. But obviously, you have to shift some blame to the media, because trashing your product on an everyday basis to people who respect your opinion, it's like, if you're trashing this, if you're Stephen A, if you're Shaq, if you guys are trashing this, why would I watch it?
That's a problem. Okay. And appreciate Derpy throwing in his 2 cents. He said, I'd say it's the political target audience. I can see some of that. I don't think it's as big as an issue now. I think back in 2020, around that time when there was a lot of they felt social injustice going on, I think they were a little more political in their stance. And I think the NBA is the most talented it's ever been. I'm gonna get to that later, but my thing is this: maybe it's a generational thing, but as far as me, like I listen to critics. I listen to when it comes to movies. I listen to people that food critics. We see that all the time. Does that stop me from watching that movie? Does that stop me from eating from that place? No, because that's their opinion. Everybody has opinion. Are opinions facts? No. So when you hear different people's opinions, you're like, okay, well, maybe there's some truth to that. But most of us have our own mind. And then I like Marvel movies. I hear people trashing Marvel movies and Marvel, the little Disney Plus shows they have. That doesn't stop me from watching them. Like I hear people trashing McDonald's. I still go to McDonald's. My kids still love it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I mean, it's still something that I, a go-to. It's not a delicacy, but it's something I go to. So for what I'm saying is we can't hold certain analysts or players' opinions to such a high standard that's going to stop our joy. If you enjoy basketball, why would what Shaq says, change your mind on anything, whether it be the Lakers, the Wizards, like you said, anybody? Because they used to trash the Hornets. The Hornets were a laughing stock. The Bobcats were a laughing stock, but people still watched, not as much, but, people still watch. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to allow the media to dictate if I'm going to watch basketball and I'm a fan of basketball, then that's just crazy. Is to me, it's you have to have a mind that says, you know what, I'm gonna watch this either way. And I'm gonna talk about this later when we get to our next topic. But the media can't they cannot shape your opinion on something. You have to have your own opinion. You have to do your own, watch the game, watch what you want to watch. I mean, it should not dictate anything that you do in life. Like I said, maybe it's a generation thing. I'm a Generation X human being, whatever. But it doesn't matter what the to me, it doesn't matter what Charles Barkley says. It doesn't matter what Stephen A. Smith says. It doesn't matter what any of these people say. I'm gonna still watch it because I enjoy it. I love it. So if you love the game, you shouldn't care what uh, any of these guys say because you love the game. So you're going to watch it regardless. You're going to find ways to enjoy it. If you really know the game, you're going to find ways to enjoy it because a lot of those statements that they make are basic. They shoot a lot of threes. They do this, they do that. But if you watch for yourself, yeah, you'll see a lot of threes. But if you let them dictate, your viewing pleasure, if you know basketball, you can see all the little intricacies that goes on in those games and understand that this is not just a 3-point shooting league. There's a lot of it, but there's other things. There's, systems. There's, Denver's not playing just like Boston. They're playing their own style of basketball. So you have to, you really have to watch the game, and you can't just trust what a Shaq says. Even though I value Shaq's opinion, but is Shaq the end all be all when it comes to basketball? We know Shaq. Shaq is, he's a little petty, so he's not going to give you it straight. The only one on there that I feel will give you it straight is probably Kenny, because he wasn't a superstar kind of player, but even him, he's going to gravitate to, the basketball he knows, but he's going to also give you some of the bits and pieces of what's going on now. Same with Reggie Miller. He's a guy that, had a great career, but he's fair when it comes to the criticisms and the things with the current NBA. So I just don't think you can put so much value in the media, because let me ask you something. Do you watch SportsCenter?
Yeah, I watch SportsCenter.
Okay, the SportsCenter give each sport a fair assessment when they're talking about the games going on or what's going on in those specific sports.
Yeah, I think SportsCenter is pretty neutral compared to the other ones.
Exactly, because it's a sports analysis show. First Take is a sports debate show. So it has to be point counterpoint. That's what a debate is. So what Stephen A is saying and what Shannon Sharpe is saying, they want to have them clash because it's a debate show. If everybody's agreeing and everybody's just praising, which is kind of getting into some of the stuff I'm gonna talk about later. But if they're just agreeing and they're just everybody's holding each other's hand and saying this is great and not giving any kind of breakdown, then is it really a debate show? So I think because people don't really watch SportsCenter and things of that nature, they say, oh, the media is just so negative, and that's why would anybody want to watch when everybody's talking down about it? You're not watching the right shows. There's other things besides First Take. There's other things besides I don't even know the Fox Sports one, but they have, I think, Speak or something like that, and they have Acho Show and was it First Things First with Nick Wright and those guys. Mm-hmm. So if those are the only media shows you watch, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because they're on there to do what all these other content creators outside of big money media are trying to do. They want your clicks, so they're trying to drum up some type of talking points, some type of narratives to get those clicks.
So do you think the media has no culpability in the ratings being down? Like what I'm getting at is you don't think them trashing the product and an average fan who doesn't, know the nuances of the game, just click on the remote, turn basketball on, watch, right? Mm-hmm. They're watching based off of the guys who played, right? These are the guys they hold in high regard, like a Shaq. If Shaq says the Hornets and Wizard is going to be a trash game and I'm a casual, why would I watch that game? A lot of NBA fans are casual fans. They're not
Okay.
fans who
Yeah, that
know the
and I'm gonna get to
nuances.
that point, definitely. But think about this. Think about your local news or national news. What do they talk about first? They talk about anything positive.
No.
Okay. So they talk about car crashes.
Yeah.
What is your first thing that you want to do when you see a car crash or when there's a car crash near you?
The first thing that I want to do,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you'd be pulling out your phone to either call for help, or if
Well, I
help's
mean,
on
if
the way.
if the police and the paramedics, everything's already there, what are you going to do? Even though you're supposed to be going here, you got to get to work. What are you doing first?
I'm gonna take a look.
Okay. So if Shaq is saying, "Oh man, the Hornets and Wizards are the worst teams in basketball," why would people? They love to see these car crashes, these negative things. Why would they say, "Well, let me see. If they're really that bad, let me turn this on." You know.
Yeah, for a game. But if you
Okay.
see that they're,
But
not
in
the greatest,
reality, how
then
many
but
Hornet?
you're giving Shaq credibility when you're saying, "Oh, these two teams are terrible." Then you go and watch them. Yeah, they kind of suck. So then
Okay.
I'm going to listen to Shaq even more when he
So
says what he says.
so are is TNT is ESPN going to show Hornets and Wizards game realistically?
No, but their
Okay.
talking points about when they talk about LeBron and they talk about Jordan, they talk about even today's players. They're not painting them in an image that's like allows these players to be like, successful. They're tearing
Mhm.
these players down by comparing them to people who they aren't.
Okay.
They're,
That
that's what
that
they're
that
doing
kind
there.
of moves into this. I know we kind of sped through that, but that kind of moves into the next point. What is ruining the current NBA era? And I'm not going to go long, but I'm going to start with this. And it's one major thing. We do it almost every channel on this in YouTube on YouTube does it. ESPN does it. Fox Sports does it. Everyone does it. The one thing that's ruining the current NBA is the GOAT debate. Because what is the main thing we do in the GOAT debate? That is the
Nitpick.
reason why the current NBA is being ruined. What is the one thing we do in the GOAT debate that tears down the current NBA?
Compare.
But in comparisons, what do you do? Because you did it when we did it. What do we do?
You have to tear somebody down to lift somebody up.
Exactly. You tear down an entire era to try to prove the point for another era, whether it be pro LeBron or pro Jordan. So guess what? The Shaqs, the Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, these guys that were a part of that era, what are they going to do? Because you're tearing down when they were at their peaks or when they were, playing well. You're tearing down their era. So what are they going to do to your era? They're going to put it under a microscope and they're going to say, "Oh, well, they're saying you're playing against plumbers and construction workers. Well, you guys, um, y'all can't, y'all travel all the time. Y'all shoot too many threes. That's all y'all do is shoot threes. We're playing against grown men. Y'all playing out there shooting threes. Y'all not even trying to get to the basket. They say, oh, this is the most skilled league. What the league is the most skilled it's ever been. Oh, they're going to say, oh, well, you know what? You guys travel all the time. You guys carry the ball all the time. So as fans, you split the fans when you do this GOAT debate because there's going to be the old heads who were watching Jordan. The 90s were there, was when their golden era. And then you have the current era. Then I'm done with the 90s people that are going to find every little clip of the dribbling. They can't go left. Their basic dribbling. They're going to tear down that era. So then you have the era wars where there's no, why would I talk good about your era if you're trashing my era? is what I'm getting at. And I think that's the number one issue that's ruined. It's not nostalgia because we've set Michael Jordan as the standard. We don't say, is this the next Allen Iverson? Is this the next Kobe Bryant? They say this is the next Michael Jordan. So he's the standard. So then that era that he played in, which was late 80s, 90s, we see that as the golden era because the standard of the NBA is when he played. So that's when we say that is the greatest time in basketball. So that in turn turns this into a uh, all these comparisons and all these breakdowns and all these pointing fingers, this, that, the other. So I think that is what's ruining the current NBA era.
I I still I still push back on that notion. Again, I just when you are just tearing down the league and you tear it down for the wrong reasons. Like again, the points that I was making earlier, like what is ruining today's NBA. It's the things, it's the load management, it's the not being able to watch the your brand as the NBA, your league pass that you're shoving out to your customers and they don't even want to work right,
Mhm.
right? Um, so when those things aren't the focus, and the focus is, oh, today's era of basketball is boring because all they want to do is shoot threes and not play defense. And it's like you're not really attributing to the you're like adding to the problem. You're not really addressing any of the real things that need to be fixed in the NBA. Um, and so, yes, when you talk about like the GOAT debate and you're comparing all these players to MJ, right? That's just not a fair comparison because 99.9% of these players will never reach MJ. And even if they were to go 6-0 in the finals, MJ did it first. So there's still going to be people that are going to say that new person, maybe it's Wimby or whoever, is still falling short because he wasn't the first guy to do it. So it's just hard for me to. This is the mindset of the current NBA media, whatever. This is somebody did it better, somebody did it first. So it doesn't matter what you do today. You could go and score 60 points one night and it don't matter. Why? Because they're going to say there's no defense in the NBA, right? Damn the greatness that's in front of your eyes. You were comparing it immediately to an era that you feel is better, superior, better defenders. The games were called at a disadvantage position for the offensive player to make that 60 look even better. So it's just damn anything anybody does today because it's only going to get compared to what they did in the past. And I think that's unfair. It just waters down any accomplishments that you see today because it gets wiped out by the past.
But to your credit, I'll give you that. But when the same goes for the current people, why say Jordan was the only skilled player that played during that time? So he was playing a bunch of unskilled players, and everybody's skilled now. So you're gonna watch it and you're gonna see, oh, they're missing a ton of threes. They're not as efficient as we thought they were. They're traveling, they're doing this. So you're like, well, why are you talking about this era being so much worse when we look at your current product and y'all can't even play by the basic, YMCA uh, middle school rules? So I think that, I see what you're saying is that it is, the comparisons are not fair in a sense. But at the same time, the counterpoints, which are, those guys are plumbers, those guys are construction workers. Is that fair to say? Is that fair for them for media guys like JJ Redick, these guys saying that, during that time, these guys were this, basically saying that somebody off the street could go out there and play during that time. You're not valuing the history. So when you devalue the history, then the history is going to come back and say, well, we had the most views, we had the highest ratings during this time, we had the best player of all time. So how are what we did so negative compared to what you guys are doing?
I think the general consensus is a lot of the old heads you don't hear a lot of good things about today's game. You hear all the old heads complaining. Byron Scott, you have Tim Hardaway Sr. Obviously, you have, I don't even know if you would call McCants an old head, but he constantly complains. Like even the greats, even the Shaqs and Charles Barkley's, they're all complaining. They're not magnifying the game. They're not giving their players today their flowers. All they want to do is complain. They're like a bunch of old geezers who just sit around and don't do anything to be a solution. All they want to do is complain, complain, complain. So to me, that is the issue. Everybody wants to complain, but nobody wants to do anything to fix it. You just keep pointing out the flaws, but don't say, hey, maybe these guys should do this. Maybe there should be something else. Maybe look at the game objectively and try to find some positives. And if you can't, then that tells me where your mind is. If it's automatically negative, you're not saying, but like not even one nice thing. This was a good game. This was entertaining. Nothing. No defense, bad officiating, terrible shot selection. Like you just keep going down the list, and it's like, how, if I'm a casual fan, could I watch the next game in good conscience? Is all I'm hearing this is terrible. This is so bad. This is nothing like how it used to be. Just continuing to sully the brand constantly. It just makes no sense to me.
So if current players say that, is that not valid?
If current players are saying the NBA,
current players and coaches say those things, does that not make it valid?
It doesn't. It's, if anything, it's still part of the problem. Regardless of who is saying it, that's the issue, is people are continuing to talk about the wrong things. Fix league pass. Like fix the load management.
I agree with that.
Get the durability of these players up. Talk about that. Talk about why players are hurt at an all-time high the past 10 years or so. That the games aren't watchable because the star players who people are going to go see aren't in the game. They talk about that. Talk about how you, as a player, Charles Barkley or Shaq, took care of your body. Talk about the things that you didn't do right so that these players can avoid those things. But stop sitting here and complaining about the game and not adding any value besides being comedic relief. Be a part of the solution. That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying praising them and just talking the good side of it is more beneficial than actually being critical of a product that they love, that they've been a part of. Like, no, I'm like,
take Steve the good and the bad. Don't just highlight the bad and say nothing good. Talk about both. I'm all about objectivity, but you have to bring some light to it instead of all this darkness.
So there's no good being talked about.
Not to the same degree as the negative.
So was there all good talk in the 90s? Was everything?
I wasn't born in the 90s, so
okay, exactly. To that. But was there all good talk in the 2000s?
I can't say all good talk, but it definitely wasn't as
all
bad.
Good talk in the 2010s.
That's the era where it started kind of shifting between good and bad. But
I mean, if you weren't around back then, how you know it started shifting? If you can't,
I mean, I was around. I wasn't like this kind of aware of everything. I was still,
So this is something that has been going on since basketball got into the limelight, the spotlight. This isn't nothing new. The fact that it gets, you have Walt Frazier, guys like that. You have Isaiah Thomas. You have Wilt Chamberlain talk bad about, certain parts of the 80s and 90s. So this is not nothing new, but for whatever reason, because of social media, because it's more widespread, that people think that, they're just starting to really downplay the NBA, which that's been going on for years. It's been going on forever. So I think people are I'm not going to say more people are more sensitive now, but I'm going to say that I think they have more ways of getting that information pumped into them than they did back then. Print media, radios, shows, local radio would trash some of these players and some of these teams back in the day. Print media, newspapers, magazines would trash some of these players. Charles Barkley was
That's
always
not the
called.
same thing, though. You can't compare a newspaper that you can choose not to pick up, as opposed to pulling up your phone and you got all these articles
You
spewing
can choose
nonsense
not to.
about you that it literally gets linked to you. Like
the-
you have a whole PR team to deal with this kind of stuff. In Limelight, you have a newspaper, or maybe you have the paparazzi, whatever, following you, trying to take pictures. You can disassociate yourself from those things. You can't stop a narrative from being painted about you all over social media, because once it's on there, it's there forever.
What can we all do with this?
You can put it down.
You can put it down. You don't
It
have
ain't
to
gonna,
read it.
but it ain't
And you
going to change. But it's not going to change what the reporter is going to ask you the
Oh,
next day.
okay.
Something gets leaked, and now that's the whole talking point. Whether it was your fault or somebody else's. Say your address gets leaked, and I'm LeBron James. What's the first thing that they're going to be talking about? Hey, LeBron, do you live in such and such on such and such drive? Is this true? Is this your actual address? So now instead of talking about the game, here you are talking about a leak that may or may not even be real. That's the power of social media today.
I mean, yes, we are more connected now. And just what's up, King Speech? Happy birthday! Didn't if I missed that, he said STO was showing me how much Jordan was trashed. Jordan was trashed by the Chicago Tribune. Yes,
I
these
can't
players
tell.
were.
I can't tell.
Have you ever
You
read
can't
the
say
Chicago
nothing bad about MJ. Not today.
because he's not in the NBA anymore. Why would you trash somebody that's not even there?
They have no problem trashing other players, but I mean, hey,
What
man,
player that is no longer playing, other than Kobe right now? What player that's no longer playing gets trashed?
you already said Kobe, man. There's a whole
Kobe's the
bunch of
only one
players
for whatever reason. Kobe gets trashed. Does AI get trashed? Does Kareem get trashed?
when they're getting compared to all-time greats. They
Does
have to
Magic Johnson
minimize
get
them.
trashed? Does Larry Bird get
People are
trashed?
trying to put Curry over him.
Okay,
Tragic
but do
Johnson,
they
anybody?
trash him? Exactly. Well, when he was coming up, 84, he was called Tragic Johnson. So it's not like he
Typical
was just
turnovers.
ultimately praised, and that's the thing. But that moves us to our next point. We're getting ahead, but do past errors get a pass, or were they scrutinized as well? And this is what I said about print media, because I know when I was growing up, I didn't read the newspaper all the time. But if you look in the newspaper, they were trashing the local newspaper. They were trashing our Hornets. They were trashing guys there. They were trashing. Jordan didn't get especially before he won a championship, he didn't get the most favorable. Everybody wasn't just Jordan is the greatest ever. They said he was selfish. They said he was, even when he was with the Wizards, they said he was a cancer to that team. He was bad for that team. So these players don't get that. Shaq, his weight. Kobe, the stuff in Denver.
Whoa, hold
Okay,
up. Hold up
go ahead. Go ahead.
The Jordan thing, I'm not listening to that, because who was Jordan compared to? Who was the guy that this is Michael Jordan. He's ascending, coming together before our very eyes. Who was he directly compared to throughout his career?
No one.
Thank you.
Because
that is my point. That's my point.
The
These players get compared to people like Jordan or all-time great players. They can't be. I can't be Luka. I can't be SGA without someone comparing me to MJ or to an all-time great. That's the problem. They have no room to grow.
He is the standard. If you're the standard, that's what you're going to compare to.
But you can't compare everybody to MJ. Nope, not everybody's going to be able to do that. You are hurt. Like that's like me saying again, these guys can't have great things because it pales in comparison to who they get compared to. Okay, this is a pantheon great.
Let me ask you something. Okay. Who before even after Jordan, who was Shaq compared to Jordan?
You said was Shaq compared to Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Different positions.
Exactly. Before Jordan, the main position that was in a position to be the greatest were bigs. So you had Bill Russell, you had Wilt Chamberlain, you had Kareem. those were the guys considered the greatest. So those were the standards. Why would they compare Jordan to any of those guys? Those guys didn't play anything like Jordan. So the only, like you said, Oscar Robinson, Dr. J, but they were, Oscar Robinson was more of a point guard. Dr. J was a small forward. So who did Jordan have to be compared to back then? He wasn't going to be compared to Magic. Wasn't going to be compared to Bird. So was he going to be compared to Oscar Robinson, Jerry West, these guys? No, because he was one of one. He was the difference maker in that he showed that a shooting guard, a two guard, which before then there weren't that many that were showed to be astronomically better than the centers, the point guards. He showed that what that could be, what that position could be. He became the standard. So saying that, Jordan wasn't compared to anybody because he was one of one. He was the only one. Who was LeBron compared to?
They compare him to Magic. They said if Magic and Jordan had a baby, that was LeBron.
Okay. So,
but they say they have flashes of different players in his game, but they don't just say he is LeBron. It's compared to somebody else.
But like I said, that's because nobody before Jordan was somebody that you could compare Jordan to.
There was 40 shots a game. I mean, yeah, you can't even 1-on-1 if you go shoot 40 shots a game.
Say, there was nobody you could compare him to before him. After him, maybe.
Why compare then? If we clearly know, we used to look at like Booker, right, or Kawhi or whatever, and we used to compare these guys because of their mid-range game. It's like, it's Jordan-esque, right? Why say that to begin with? Why? You're just you're painting them up so you can tear them down later when they don't live up to the narrative.
That gives you a point of emphasis that everybody knows. Everybody knows Michael Jordan. Am I lying?
No, everybody does know them, but Jordan is his own separate entity. Why do you bring current players and say, like Anthony Edwards, when he had his big run last year for Minnesota, what was the first? They were comparing him to Michael Jordan in the playoffs while he was playing.
That proves my point. He is the standard. If you have a standard, then everything you do is going to be compared to that standard.
But that's a problem. Because he's not Michael Jordan. You can't compare. You can't just throw that kind of comparison onto players because he's not Michael Jordan. He never will be Michael Jordan. Breaking news. But why do it in the first place?
But does that not get more eyeballs on him if they say, hey, this could be the next Michael Jordan? Does that not help the league or does that hurt the league?
It's fool's gold. Anybody with eyes knows he's not Michael Jordan. They don't even play the same. You think just because they got high verticals and Anthony Edwards can shoot a mid-range pull-up at times, he's the next Michael Jordan? Is absurd. That's not even close. Like when you say when you couldn't compare MJ because he didn't play like anybody else, these guys don't play like Michael Jordan. They might play like the old Jordan, the slowed down, the come to earth Jordan that had to have a back to the basket game because he wasn't lightning quick anymore. But when you're comparing him to Jordan, like the entirety of Jordan, none of these players are even close to what that was. So to compare that to some of these players today is just asinine. It makes no sense. And you're building these guys up for talking points just to break them apart when they do not live up to being the next Michael Jordan.
Did that hurt or help Kobe?
Kobe's a different breed. You know that.
No, you cannot say that.
Kobe is different. You can't compare anybody to Kobe just like you can't compare them to MJ. Kobe is one of those.
Answer my question. Did that hurt or help Kobe?
You can't bring Kobe up. You got to bring somebody.
Did that hurt or help Kobe?
Kobe is like nobody who ever existed on this planet. Kobe has a completely different. He's completely different. You can't bring Kobe up.
Why? Why can't you bring Kobe up?
Because Kobe was going to be Kobe regardless of if MJ even existed. Kobe was going to be Kobe Bean Bryant.
But he studied Jordan. So who was he going to study? Dr. J or?
He would have studied whoever would have been the greatest guards before him. And they all would have paled in comparison to what Kobe was going to be because Kobe was just
haven't answered my question. Did that hurt or help Kobe? That comparison, did it hurt or help Kobe?
Has it helped or hurt anybody since Kobe?
That's not You can't ask a question to a
I'm telling
question.
you, Kobe is the anomaly. Kobe was going to be Kobe regardless of Michael Jordan. He was going to be an all-time great shooting guard. But to answer your question directly, yes, that comparison helped him because Kobe was a psychopath in the head. But nobody
So
is like my thing is, if people say this is the mentally, weakest era of players, this is not what's going to help them. This is not what's going to carry the league into the next era. You cannot compare these people to be like, oh, he's the next MJ. All right. Now this Anthony Edwards is going to put it in his mind and really, really go hard to be the next MJ. That's not how it works because he has one bad game or one bad series. Oh, the floodgates come on. Oh, what are we talking about? This guy could shine Jordan's shoes. This guy's a bum. Oh, he shot 8 for 24 against the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic. What are we doing right now? Like, again, you're bringing him up so you can tear him down when he ultimately underachieves. And that is the problem.
Oh man. Okay. So you're saying, this is what you're saying is no player should be compared to any player.
No player is like any other player. If I am LeBron, I am LeBron. Compare me to the best of me. Don't compare me to MJ. Don't compare me to Magic, Bird. Compare me to my best. If I'm underperforming to my standards, I'm underperforming as LeBron James. But don't compare me to nobody else because nobody else is me. That's what I'm saying.
So you're saying essentially the GOAT debate needs to be just thrown out. We need to kill the GOAT debate.
The GOAT debate is a flawed argument to begin with. It's just your bias versus my bias. Who sounds
I agree.
cooler?
So you're saying that should be thrown out. We should just kill the whole GOAT debate thing because no player should be compared to another player because it's asinine basically to compare players especially from different eras to each other. So we should kill the whole GOAT debate.
I'm gonna put it to you like this. No man, I could sit here and spend 30 minutes telling you why I think LeBron's the GOAT. Is that going to change your opinion? No. It's not going to. So again, then that's my point. There is no GOAT debate because no matter what you say, he say, she say, nobody's going to change my opinion of who I think the GOAT is because it's my personal opinion.
I absolutely agree with what you're saying, but I'm also saying so there should never be comparisons when it comes to current NBA players. You can compare them when they're retired, but when they're playing, there shouldn't be no comparisons to anybody that is not playing because that's just unfair to their journey. Is that what you're saying?
Because Anthony Edwards is Anthony Edwards. He is not Kobe. He is not Jordan. If you want to say, hey, he maybe have a similar like drive or something, maybe the way he attacks the basket, sure, but leave it at that. Don't start bringing all these things about how he played and what he did in the postseason at that age, because now you're putting another unfair narrative on these guys that you know these guys aren't going to live up to it. It's just not fair. And it's not fair to be scrutinized because of a narrative that you didn't even put out there. Some Joe Schmo at ESPN said this guy's the next MJ and they're running with it, albeit while the guy's ain't even 25, 26 yet. Like he ain't even in his physical prime yet. And we're already comparing him to a Pantheon great. It's just not fair.
Okay. But is that not what the NBA is built on? The NBA is not the NFL. I wish I could play the Colin Cowherd clip, but they're copyrighting people left and right. So we want to be in compliance. But the NBA is not the NFL. And hopefully maybe one day they will. But the NBA is not built on teams. They don't thrive off of the name of a team. Other than maybe the Lakers, maybe a little bit the Celtics. Other than that, they do not thrive off of teams. What do they thrive off of? They thrive off of superstars.
Correct.
So when you have superstars of the past that created this emotion, they created this fandom, that they created this sense of this is what NBA basketball is. Why would you not want them compared to some of those guys when that's what this whole league is built on. If it wasn't for, we don't say the NBA was built off of the Lakers, the Celtics, the Pistons, the Bulls. We say the NBA is built off of Magic, Bird, Jordan, those bad boy Pistons. They might have had their own identity. Kareem, these guys. So if that's what the league is built off of, when you say, hey, KD is a better shooter than XYZ from the past, does that not help KD's case, or does that hurt him being compared to somebody? KD can shoot better than Larry Bird. Does that not help his case, or does that really hurt him in the long run? I think
So,
oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, if you were to say something like that, and then he underperforms, what's the first thing somebody's gonna come find your soundbite? Oh, ICW said that Kevin Durant is a better shooter than Larry Bird. You know what those people are gonna go do? The first, and I mean the moment Kevin Durant has a bad game, they're gonna come find where you are, what your social media is, and be like, Larry Bird would never.
But are we major media? Are we ESPN? No. Okay. Does
one day?
Well, we hope, if ESPN you want to call, give us a call. We can fill in for Gil, but but are we the people that they want to, that they're listening to further their narrative or whatever you want to call it? We're not. We're just independent media. You're talking about independent media, driving some of that. That's not major media, which is what I felt like LeBron was pointing his fingers to. But people, for whatever reason, I think some of them feel as independent media, and I'm not going to name any content creators, I'm not going to name any YouTube channels, but they feel as their platform is what drives viewers or whatever, drives people's drives their opinions and how they think about things. When they're just independent, they are such a small fraction of the actual media that will drive whatever viewership you're going to get. So because if you look at both, the major media when it comes to sports, it's ESPN, it's Fox Sports. I don't really think they're tearing these players down as much as they're doing what radio shows do. It's just more easily accessible. They're not doing, they're not sitting here praising these guys, but they're doing what a journalist or a radio talk show person does. They are giving you a different side or giving you their opinions. Now, how much you value their opinions is on you. But I think, we're not and these other channels that, they might have 250K, but they're not the media that really is, focusing on or getting people focused one way or the other.
I still think if you consider ESPN and Fox, like those are the bigger networks, that again brings to the point, they are the ones that are going to compare. They're the ones that are like, oh man, you saw LeBron's game last night? He was terrible. He was awful, right? It's just like, instead of tearing these guys down, talk about the actual game. What went wrong in the fourth quarter? What went wrong in the third quarter? Oh, they got out to a 20-0 start. This is why it happened. And it's some Joe Schmo no name, right? Bring light to him. Bring the storyline to the fan, right? If you're just talking the game, newsflash, people watch these games. They're not coming to these shows to be like, okay, what? Oh, so LeBron played like trash. Oh, no, I didn't see that. I didn't just watch 48 minutes of basketball. Like, they're not bringing any substance. All they're bringing is a comedic relief. And, you got Stephen A. bloviating about something and just speaking, just hilariously about random stuff that ain't got nothing to do with the topic at hand. So it's like, if you're going to put an emphasis on these players, Put a story behind them. Make me want to come back. Oh, look, like Kevin Durant averages 15 points against this team. They're all top 10 defense in the league. All right. What is he going to do against this defense? They crowd him to his left. He doesn't like this to cross left. He doesn't, his pull-up percentage against this team is an all-time low. Give me something like that. Give me something on this primary defender. Give me the full picture. Don't just tell me he had a bad game and it's just because the Golden State Warriors shut him down or the Orlando Magic shut him down. Tell me why. You are these high-level analysts, right? Tell me why. As a casual fan, tell me why. And if they can't do it, why are you in front of the screen? If you were an NBA player, a retired NBA player, and you can't break down simple footage for me, why are we watching you?
Okay. And I agree with King's speech. Reggie Miller is an announcer that practically, I'm assuming he's saying glazes all the players. I agree. I haven't seen him, he's one that doesn't talk negatively that much about anybody. You have to do something really negative for him to really say anything negative. But I'm going to counterpoint you with this. Okay. If you were going to do a video, and I know we're not ESPN, we're not Fox Sports, but if you were going to do video, which one of these videos do you think is going to get you what you're hoping for when you drop that video? Are you going to do LeBron James has 20 turnovers in his game against blah, blah, blah? Or are you going to say, or are you going to create a video on Quentin Grimes gets 44 points against the Toronto Raptors? I don't know who they were playing. Which one are you going to navigate to post, to get clicks, to get likes, to get subs? Which one are you going to create?
You're going to do the one with the bigger name, obviously, which is LeBron.
There you go.
But that doesn't but you can still change it up to like talk about the game. You can talk about LeBron and you can paint whatever narrative you want to paint, but what I'm saying is tell both sides. Don't just harp on one side and don't bring up the fact that there was a great defender who made him get these 20 turnovers. Talk about him. Put some storyline, whatever you want to call him, the LeBron stopper. How does he fare against Kevin Durant? How does he fare against Luka Doncic? Keep the story going. If he can clamp LeBron, let me see him clamp everybody else. Put a story behind this no-name, this Dyson Daniels type player who doesn't have any traction behind his name. So you can build your league, because wherever Dyson Daniels goes, he's forever known as the LeBron stopper. If he stops LeBron in a playoff series for 4, 6 games, whatever, this is his title now. And he can go wherever he wants to go. And now you have a story behind this random Joe Schmo player who's not a superstar caliber player by any means.
But do you think the casual fan cares? They just care LeBron got 20 turnovers. They don't care it was because of this specific. Now, for us, we want to hear, why does LeBron get 20 turnovers? But for the casual fan, that's the one that I'm sure the NBA is marketing to, because they're going to pay their money to go see it, because they're just there to see the big names. They're just there to see the superstars. They don't care. They don't care if it's Dyson Daniels, if it's Amin Thompson, if it's whoever, Dylan Brooks, whoever. They just care LeBron had 20 turnovers, and it was because of good defense, but they don't care the name. They just want to know, hey, why did LeBron have 20 turnovers? And does that make LeBron one of the worst players of all time? Does that make LeBron human, which he is? That's what they care about. They don't care about and that's the sad part, and that's what we could go into a whole nother, discussion on that, is that, casual fans are casual fans. They only care about what they care about. So they're only listening to what they want to listen to. They don't care about the X's and O's. And that's why Mind the Game podcast wasn't that people didn't, gravitate to it like they probably thought, because they're talking X's and O's, and your normal fan doesn't know. They haven't really played like that. So what I'm trying to say is these networks and these shows, they want the same thing we want. They want likes, they want clicks, they want subs, they want people to tune in and for people to chime in. They want people to watch. They want that watch time. They want all of that stuff. They don't care about the X's and O's. They care about what they can get from talking about this topic. That is why Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp talk Mike and LeBron constantly. No one cares. Mike's never going to play again. Who cares? He's done everything he can do. That's hindsight. We don't, there's no other metric or thing you can talk about that we care about. We've said it all. Mike was great. Leave it in the past. But they're going to still do it because that's what's going to get them likes. I said this in a video. I saw a Mike versus LeBron video on ESPN. I saw a video hyping SGA. I saw a video hyping Jokic. Their views combined didn't come close to the Mike versus LeBron conversation. So that tells you where the fans are. They care about, these are the things they care about. And unfortunately, you can't be super positive and get these guys and talk about the current generation and really get them over without some type of comparison. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
But don't you think that's a byproduct of the NBA not painting a story around these young and up and coming stars, not talking about their teams, not talking about their accomplishments, not talking about the NBA history that is going on in front of their very eyes because they just want to focus on LeBron, just because they want to focus on the Lakers.
Absolutely.
Like that's to me, that's the problem. Like, I'm not saying they need to sit there and speak X and O's all day, but paint a story around these young players that are doing very well in your league, because these are the players who's going to carry you when LeBron retires, when Steph retires, when KD retires. Like, you got to do your work early, so when they leave, you already got a story ready to go to carry the next generation.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir, and that's why I was baffled when they just kind of glossed over Boston last year, because Boston had one of the most dominant playoff runs that we've seen in the last couple of years. But you let them tell it. Jason Tatum is, whatever. Boston, they're good, but who cares? And I agree with you. I think that they have the platform to do these type of things, but they want those clicks, they want those likes, they want those watch time hours. So they're going to go with what's going to get them the most feedback, the most watch time. They're going to go with what's going to get them to where they want to go. And that's the unfortunate truth. I mean, I agree with you. They should be focusing on, like, there's no reason OKC shouldn't be talked about every single show. There's no reason why Cleveland shouldn't be talked about every single first take or whatever, first things first, whatever. But they're not. Nobody, it's just like an anomaly. They're just whatever. But you'll be sure that they're going to talk about Luka and the Lakers at some point in every show. And that's the media world we live in.
Unfortunately.
So with that said, I think we had a good little, back and forth. We didn't have to always agree, but we came to one common understanding that the media can control, these narratives. They can control, moving the NBA in a way that it can benefit from, but they're so scared. They just can't let Steph go. They can't let LeBron go. They can't even let KD go, which the Phoenix Suns are terrible. So you got to let them go. But, you'll hear something about them. Now they're talking about where's KD going after this season, when they should be talking about Houston. They should be talking about Memphis. They should be talking about OKC. They should be talking about Cleveland. Indiana's not bad. They're doing pretty good. The Hawks, crickets when it comes to a lot of those teams. So
it's unfortunate, but
Okay, I'm gonna let King Speech in for a few because we're gonna end it up, but I'll let you plug the show on Thursday because I think you'll be talking about something a little similar.
And also be on the lookout for my KD video. I'm going to break down what teams should trade for him this summer and what those packages look like. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I might have a guest on with me to, live react to some of my trade scenarios to see if I'm all right in the head or if I'm a little cooked. But definitely gonna
give us one sample real quick. Give us one sample.
One sample.
Not nothing big, but one that.
Well, if Dallas wants to go all in, I have a scenario. I have a scenario where you take KD and Nick Richards, and you basically give away most of your depth if you're Dallas, but it's a combination of PJ, Gafford. I think Clay's in that deal. I think Christie's in there for salary, and I think you throw in like one or two first-round picks, and you have a core of Kyrie, AD, and Lively, and kind of whatever's left. So that's a sneak peek.
Okay, I want to hear your even more justification for that one because that's if Dallas fans are mad now. What's going on, King Speech?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
You hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you kind of fading in and out.
It's the back. Okay, this is the platform. I'm not sure how it's performing on StreamYard. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Go with the back and I, you took the new Nines, you took the new school, and they took the old school. I mean, I just want to say, I think this whole conversation has been going on for a couple of weeks now. We've had twists and turns. We started by Shannon Fry. We kind of addressed it. Some new twists and turns, like LeBron came out with his thing. And I just want to say, look, being a face of the league or being compared to Jordan, right? You got to realize Jordan made it to where NBA players went from, they made a few $100,000 a year, right? Top player to make $30 million. And now we're at the point where they're going to approach $100 million. But on top of that, the endorsements. You went from having a few local, put your name in a couple of local radio ads, give you a few extra, 5 or 6. Think about this though. When y'all say, not you all, but when the new guys like Redick say, guys were plumbers and firemen, I want y'all to understand this. That's because the average NBA salary was $11,000 a year back in the 60s. Yep. They had to do extra jobs in the summertime when they weren't playing to pay their bills. Like, they were making more than think about it. The average salary in the 60s probably was about $4,000 or $5,000. You adjust it for inflation, that's about $50,000. So many players were making good money, but again, you had to pay the bills had to be paid in the summertime. So yeah, a few of them took jobs. Now the top players made a little bit more, but again, we're at the point. So I get it. I understand, like, nobody wants to be the face of the league because they're going to face scrutiny. But by the same token, think of the perks. Did Harold Miner have his own shoe when he came out? I think they tried to get him on they tried to sign him to something, right? Harold Miner, who never scored a basket.
Maybe Jordan.
If his agent was smart back then, could have just got him some, baby Jordan, okay. Let's get a campaign on him. Obviously his career wasn't living up to what it was. And I know that's the problem, right? Think about it. Vince Carter, he got natural ball head. Vince Carter was balding already by the time he was in his 20-something. Ball head, went to Carolina, jumped high. He got compared to Jordan. I don't think Vince would ever sit there and say, well, it was that much of a burden, right? Vince had his own shoe line, right? All this. So there's perks come with it. And if the argument is, well, we got to listen to a few criticisms on Twitter and X and all that social media, I mean, you're gonna lose the average fan because it's like I said, Ant-Man, if they're comparing you to Jordan, well, guess what? Your agent should be even if it's not fair, even if you don't live up to it, even the fact that you're in that, you should consider it honor. That's my feeling. You consider it honor, even whether you live up to it or not. You know what? Embrace it for what it's worth. Understand it's not, it's a heavy crown. And I think, look, that's what I can say with LeBron. The crown is heavy. Just like Kendrick said, the crown is heavy. Yeah. It's the heavy man who wears the crown. And that might be why a lot of people just don't want it. Katie just want to chill out. I'm second, third best. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, let my shoes sell on here. Let me get my money, call it a day. But at the end of the day, you know what it is? Again, guys, you athletes, your job is to compete. So, this is where I'll go to the Big Nigel side, right? It's very hard to compete with a ghost. Like, there's nothing that anybody can do that, like he said, you can score 70. Well, Jordan did it with hard defense. Well, Jordan did it, and you can't. I mean, other than bringing his 60 behind-year-old cigar smoking, cognac drinking, cell phone on the court and busting his ass at 60 years. What do you beat up a 63-year-old man? What you know what I'm saying? So I get both sides of it, but at the end of the day, bro, like y'all gotta realize this is the business. It happens in every sport, every genre of entertainment. You don't think judges compared to look at what Aaron Judge is doing for the Yankees. He didn't win championships like Jeter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that he's a much, much better player when it comes down to, home runs, average, everything tangible. Yankee fans want championships. And so, yes, it is hard to live up to ghosts sometimes. But at the end of the day, guys, you got to realize, I think to the players, your job is to compete. That's it. Your job is to compete, So, I'm going to segue into, my show because I've heard so many videos about the anti-LeBron media and how the media is out to get LeBron. And it was shout out to Uncut Hoops who had that graphic. I think I sent it to you earlier, CW, about the squad of pro LeBron guys. So you got 15, and it's like, all right, you got 15 guys screaming your praises. Two of them will every now and then call you out just to make it seem fair, right? But then the one guy who always takes you to task, if you got 15 guys, and let's say it's 2 or 3, and Stephen A will try to play neutral, right? But you got 15 major guys. You got guys. Some of those guys come on Stephen A's show. Chris Broussard, when he still worked for what's the name, to come on with Stephen A, right? You got a bunch of guys in your corner. And again, we've even somebody who was I listening to? Oh, Gilbert said it. Yeah, of course. When I was listening to Whitlock. Whitlock said it, and Whitlock, who's himself, he came up and said, "Well, when Skip Bayless was a white man making millions for hating on him. First of all, he hated on Troy Aikman. That was how he got to start. Then he started hating on other guys. Then he finally started hating on LeBron. But again, sometimes critics, that's what it is. You got to. It's like wrestling. You got the heel announcer, you got the babyface announcer. The heel's got to get a little.
That's debate. That's debate TV.
You can't have guys saying everything about you is great. Everything about you is great. Well, look, prove the haters wrong. Go out there, prove them wrong. Again, I mean, at some point, you do it the right way. You do it, you win. You have that in your face. This is the way I say it. If the fact of the matter is, right, you guys did a complaining about chasing Jordan's goal. Well, you got the story right. Like Ant-Man is 23, 24 years old, right? You got another 15, 16 more years. Again, you know what? It's going to be hard to win the 6. It's going to be hard to win the 7. Like when you brought up Kobe. Kobe openly embraced it. As you said, Kobe is an animal, right? Right? Big Nine, Kobe is an animal. Kobe is just. But I think that's a generational thing too. These guys, that you can't be scared to fail because you're in the business of competition. That's what it is. Like, every player at every level, you started off when you were 6, 7, 8, your bitty league, the AAU circuit. Next, they're on the AAU circuit. They're living to compete this is not foreign to you. I get it. Now you're competing at the highest level. It's not that easy to win. You know, like I said in the comments, I mean, Wade admitted. We saw Kobe won his fifth and like, damn, guys, we're behind. You know, we're behind. Like, if we want to get to, if either one of us want to get to Jordan, we got to start winning championships now. And that's when, what I say, you call me. And you know, so that's, it just is what it is. I think, again, remember, you're in the business of competing, and it's a league with 30 teams. And so y'all can get your little thing going over here, but then every GM is building teams and all of this. And at the end of the day, it's fun telling the story. You know, so like I said, I want to get into on Thursday. I want to get into what the media, like, who is this media? Because I've seen it so. Who is the media that's going in on LeBron like this? Or not even just LeBron, because I will get into it how he was the guy behind what Channing Frye said, but yet tried to act like Channing Frye came up with that on his own again. Channing Frye is one of the former players, teammate, side as well, right? Again, bro, you got help. I think it's just, you know, you got guys that love you. You got guys that hate you. Trust me. Jordan had plenty of guys that hated him. Jordan had, again, I mean, I'm a Knicks fan. I didn't hate Jordan. I respected him. I wanted to see him lose every single time. I got sick of hearing that Jordan is running this league narrative. Jordan is running. I wanted to see Malone win. I wanted to see Barkley win. I damn sure wanted to see him get past him. So, you know, again, remember, you guys are in the job to compete, and just the fun of it. You guys make generational wealth. Just nine figure to a build. Just being the face of the league is going to get you perks. It's going to one day make you a billionaire.
That's what I want to end it on. LeBron doesn't like being the face of the league. How about that $1 billion status? Let's talk about that. He likes that. I'm sure he likes that. And being the face of the NBA is what got him that $1 billion status. So,
kid from Akron, growing up in the projects on food stamps, his kids will never miss a meal. So just remember that, guys. You know what I'm saying? Just remember that, player. If y'all hear any of this or whatever, just remember what you're in it for. You're in it to compete, and that competition is making you guys. You can go to any. They can go to any corner of this globe at the snap of a finger because they have the resources to.
Yep.
And all you and here's I got a little few bad things written about me on Twitter from guys, as you said, and from guys who, you know, got to get up and go to work every day like us. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, man. Let's have fun with it, man. Because the whole thing is objective anyway. You're never gonna be able to prove it. Just, you know, brace it.
Yep.
Brace it.
Exactly. So if you please come around Thursday, we do have 10 Toes Down podcast with King Speech. He's going to be you know, kind of piggybacking off this some and talking about some of LeBron's pro LeBron in the media, which there's quite a few, and you know, he's not as hated on as he thinks he is. But with that said, what's up?
No, I'm just saying the quotes. The more y'all talk, the more y'all feed the news cycle. If you said nothing, we got nothing about, you know. But it just is what it is. Because go out there and let your game do the talking. And we're going. This is just the barbershop talk is online now. This is what we said in barbershops, and then let you was in the barber. You could, you know, these guys couldn't go to every. It's now it's like they can go to every barbershop. Just go and look at this little chat here. Look at this little chat here. It's like, you know, bro, y'all can if you, as soon as the season's over, y'all can just go to any part of the globe y'all want to. You know,
we can't. But so with that said, we're going to close it down. Big Nige, appreciate your feedback. You know, we had a little, you know, didn't agree on everything, but that's how it is. The old heads such as myself and the new age. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is right now. But With that said, we're going to go ahead and get off of here for tonight. But as I said, King's Speech will have 10 Toes Down podcast on Thursday, probably around 9:30 as usual.
The Knicks play tonight too, so that'll be spicy.
Okay.
They play against we playing Golden State right now at halftime. So yeah, I'm gonna get to catch the rest of this one.
All right. Well, you have a good night, and hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and share.
All right.
To everybody, and we will be back next week around the same time. So, with that said, Goatcast out.